Hi YouTube friends, it's Anna the Paladin, again after a long time of absence, or at least after a long time of being less present on YouTube, which was because I was very busy with finishing my studies, which I have finally done now, hooray. And that means, or at least I have the intention that it means that I have a lot more time to focus on things that are important to me, like making videos and other interesting stuff that I want to do in the future, which is still kind of secret. And yeah, I really was looking forward to making another video. And I really felt like making another video from the series, What Does an INFJ Think About Other Types? And I want to talk about ISFJs today. I have plenty of ISFJs around me, which is quite obvious actually, because ISFJs are just very common. So I think there's hardly anyone in the world that doesn't have ISFJs around them. But I would say I also have ISFJs that are a bit closer to me. So I have something to say about that. ISFJs are not the people that are most interested in MBTI or like really deep psychology. So it may very well be that this video will not be well watched. But I suppose I just have to do it for me and for what I want, and not be so cheap as to sell myself completely to what the public wants. You know, that kind of stuff that people could say. Also, you know, this could be valuable to people, particularly INFJs that have ISFJs in their environment. But also, if you are one of the rare ISFJs that is interested in MBTI, good for you. Enjoy this video where I will tell you what I think about you. Also be critical. So if you're scared of criticism, please run away now before we start. But okay, let's start with something positive, because I have positive things and I have negative things that I think about ISFJs. First, positive, plus sign. I think ISFJs are very dependable people. And that is something I definitely value as an INFJ. And I would like to refer to another video that I made, which was, what does an INFJ need from friendship? In that video, I mentioned that one of the things that is very important to an INFJ is that people are loyal to them, that they have this consistency in their behavior, and that they stick to INFJs no matter what happens. And that's something the ISFJ is very good at naturally. So I appreciate that in relationships from them. I know that they will always be there for me to hang out with. They will always be there to listen to me if something is going on. They won't ghost me or anything, which is really, really pleasant for me as an INFJ, because I have fear of abandonment and that kind of stuff. So ISFJs help. Then we are going for another positive point, which is that I think ISFJs are very caring and considerable, or considerate would be the word, I guess. Like I mentioned, I feel supported by them. They are very good listeners. They take it very seriously to be caring about people. And I would say for the women, it's more on the emotional part of things that they find it important to be caring. They are good listeners. They really make a point of it to be supportive to people that are dear to them. And I would say for the ISFJ men, they are very caring in doing things for you. So whenever you need help, they are very very willing to help you and solve problems for you. They seem very selfless in that, although it's a good question whether they actually are, because they're not. But we were talking positive now. So they're just generally nice people. Especially if you stay on their good side, if they like you, if you are dear to them, they will be very nice to you. Be a really good friend or whatever they are, and help you out and support you. So that's pretty great. Again, then we will continue to some negative points. I think ISFJs are narrow-minded. I think when it comes to the negative parts about ISFJs and about censors, as they are called in general, there are some stereotypes, and this might be one of them. But I try to talk independent from stereotypes and just tell you about actual experiences that I had with ISFJs. Because I think ISFJs just really are narrow-minded, at least almost all of them. It's an issue. Their thing is that they consider to be their own view in life to be the one true one, that everyone should have that same view as them. They are really the people that think that everything is obvious, and they judge people that deviate from that view. ISFJs are very concerned with the social norms, and they really have a desire to conform to social norms. They just want things to be normal. And I find that pretty bad, to be honest. An interesting thing that I have observed is that, this view of ISFJs, it's very much shaped by their life experiences. And ISFJ is all about their life experiences. They're all about their memories and how life has shaped them. They are very moldable people. They're very moldable by life. They're very much shaped by the experiences they've had, and they can also be really bitter about their past or nostalgic, whatever, which comes from introverted sensing hero, of course, if you know anything about the cognitive functions. And the beautiful thing about that can be that they are, in fact, absolutely capable of changing their worldview based on experiences that they had. And I find that it is especially bad experiences, or perhaps it would be better to call them challenges, which can also challenge their beliefs. ISFJs need to go through bad stuff in life, through challenges, to have their view challenged. And if life really showed something to them, they can be quite extreme in how much they change their mind about things. And having this life experience can really make them more open-minded to some extent. But it's all, as far as I have observed, it is almost always still a problem that they are narrow-minded to some extent. And it depends on the person, but I would say that because it is these challenges in life that makes them more open-minded, that usually ISFJs that are older have a bigger chance of being more open-minded. But it is absolutely not true that older ISFJs are necessarily more open-minded than younger ones, because it only happens if, the right things come upon the path of that ISFJ that shapes them to be a more open-minded person. And I have a very particular example of this, and I'm considering whether I should share it or not, because it's a bit personal, but I guess I will. If you've watched more of my videos, you probably know that I've been homeschooled and that I've had a difficult past with education. To be more precise, with schools. And homeschooling is not really allowed in the Netherlands, so we got a lot of crap because of that, my parents and me. And my dad, he was not really pro homeschooling. Initially, he wanted me to just be like all the other children, basically, and just fit in within the system. But, throughout this whole struggle with child protection and that stuff, he really realized that these people had not my best interest in their mind, that they were biased. Because initially he wanted to believe that these institutions actually, were of value, that they should be, that they are authorities that should be listened to, because that's kind of how ISFJs are, because they want to conform to social norms, so they believe more in authority. Throughout that process of hearing everything that child protection had to say about me and the whole situation of just wanting to force me to go to school no matter what was actually good for me, it made him realize that, these institutions should really be thought of in a more critical way, and that, homeschool can work for children. So in the end, he was much more supportive. He was actually really supportive because it was essential for the process, to succeed. So he turned out to be supportive of me having homeschool in the end. And I think that his whole worldview was influenced by that whole happening. And he is more open-minded about education and institutions, also critical since then. So, next negative thing about ISFJs. They are judgy AF. For all the stuff that I said about how nice ISFJs are, they can equally be very harsh about people, especially because they are not so direct. They are not as likely to tell people in the face mean things. They are usually quite conflict averse, so they're more like back talkers. It fits with the narrow-mindedness, because they judge people completely out of their personal worldview that they believe is the true one that everyone should have. So anyone that doesn't conform to it, they are judged very harshly by ISFJs. I've been quite astonished at how harsh ISFJs can be about other people. And to them, it seems really quite just to make those negative judgments and, be unkind about those people and devalue them, basically. Because to them, it seems logical that everyone should follow their view of how things should be. And when I listen to these judgments, I'm often like, that doesn't make so much sense to me at all. Their logic in that is very biased by their own view. It's not objective at all. But still, they judge people by this subjective thing, nonetheless. I personally have not really had problems with this because, like ISFJs, I as an INFJ am quite aware of other people's values, of like what the social norms are. So basically I can, present myself in such a way that I will not trigger their judgment. At least like I do things that they disagree with, for sure, but at least I can communicate with them in such a way that they will never really blame me for it. I will not be on the blacklist ever, as far as I've experienced. Because I know, as an INFJ, I'm very aware of other people's values, which comes from extroverted feeling parents, and I can adapt to that. Which also means that I tend to not be completely open with ISFJs, because I am not interested in triggering that judgment. So I will usually give a filtered version of stories of myself to ISFJs to stay on their good side, because I really don't think there's any value in doing otherwise. And, ISFJs, they're not going to be the people I will ask advice of about deep personal issues because of that judgment. So an issue with ISFJs that doesn't really bother me personally that much, but it is a thing, is that they tend to be doormats, especially the men. They are so much about helping people and conforming to social norms that they become a doormat. It's a threat. I don't know what else to say about that. I think I will leave it to that for now, and we will move on. I have my notes here. Sorry. If I'm ever looking down, flipping the page right now. Some people criticized me for not having enough structure in my video and rambling too much. I don't really care about it, but I was like, let's try more structure again. So that's what this is, the notes. Let's talk about similarities and differences between ISFJs and INFJs that I've observed. ISFJs and INFJs are both very self-critical, which comes from introverted feeling, critic, inner shadow. Again, to mention this cognitive function thing. But the way that it manifests is slightly different for both of us. Because for ISFJs, it's mostly directed at past experiences. They can be really bitter about their past experiences where they feel their value was lessened, or where other people didn't value them, or where they didn't do good enough. They didn't do good enough. No, that's not ISFJ realm. It's more past experiences that proved that other people didn't value them enough. I think that's just the best way to say it for ISFJs. And Another thing that's part of being highly self-critical for ISFJs is that they have this thing where they want to punish themselves for things because they feel like they aren't good enough. For INFJs, the self-criticism is all directed at performance. We always feel like we aren't doing well enough. So if it's about past experiences, it's also about painful moments where we felt our performance wasn't good enough and people didn't value us because of that. But it's also more in real time, this feeling of not being able to perform well enough. And about the future. Okay, final difference is that I see that ISFJs are a lot less adventurous than me. Which fits quite well to the stereotypical sensor thing. I'm really open to a lot of ideas, to a lot of experiences, as long as the experiences are driven out of my willpower, that I really want to do something. And if I really want to do something, I can be really crazy about it too. I can be pretty much without boundary, as long as it's something that I want. So I might sometimes take really crazy steps to do the things I want. And ISFJs are not that likely to do those kind of things. So ISFJs are very much about their comfort zone. So they can do a lot of things, ISFJs, as long as it's about extending their comfort zone. And I can just take big leaps out of my comfort zone through willpower. ISFJs, on the other hand, they're really good at dealing with difficult situations, enduring difficult situations, which I am not as good at, for a final positive note. So here you have it, a much more structured approach to what does an INFJ think about other types. Today we talked about ISFJs, mentioned some positive points, some negative points, and what are the differences and similarities between us. Perhaps I didn't mention as many personal anecdotes, which also has to do with my awareness of how other people might view this video that are close to me, and I'm talking about them. So I want to be a bit careful with that. I hope that still you found some value in this video. If you did, please give it a like. Consider subscribing to my channel because I will upload more videos in the future. I have good plans. I'm in a good flow with this now after studying. So subscribe. And I would love it if you have anything to say, that you write that in the comments, a question, something you want to say about ISFJs, or something you want to say about INFJs, something you just want to say about this video, anything. I really enjoy reading comments. So thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.